Question number 36. Which of the following is not a mode of crossing the check? So guys, we cross the check. There are different modes to it. Which one is not a mode of crossing? General crossing, restrictive crossing, special crossing, conditional crossing. So guys, conditional crossing is not a mode of crossing a particular check. So conditional crossing is not in our purview of crossing. 37. The day on which a check falls due for payment is called. The day when the check falls due for payment, it is called as payment date, B, expiry date, C, maturity date, D, none of the above. So guys, the right answer is maturity date. 38. The normal grace period allowed for a negotiable instrument is of. So for every negotiable instrument, what is the normal grace period which is allowed by law? 1 week, 1 month, 1 day, 3 days. The correct answer is 3 days. The grace period allowed for a particular negotiable instrument is 3 days. Question number 39. A negotiable instrument dated 31st August is made payable 3 months after date. So a negotiable instrument dated 31st August is made payable after 3 months after the date. Then the date of maturity will be. So if a negotiable instrument is dated 31st August is made payable after 3 months of this date, then the date of maturity will be, what will be the date of maturity? A, 3rd of December. So guys, August, September, October, November. November end will finish 3 months. Then you will give 3 days of grace also. So the correct answer is A, 3rd of December. No, it won't be 30th November because 3 days of grace are also to be given in this case. No, 1st December will not be the case, 2nd December will not be the case. Question number 40. Which of the following statement is not true in respect of the holder in due course? So if a person is holder in due course, which of the statement is not true? A, the holder in due course is mostly in a privileged position. B, any person holding the instrument can recover the amount from all the previous parties. C, the negotiable instrument can be obtained even after maturity. D, all of the above. Guys, the statement which is not true in respect of holder in due course is that the negotiable instrument can be obtained even after maturity. No, the negotiable instrument cannot be obtained after maturity. So holder in due course, if you want to become the holder in due course, you have to obtain the negotiable instrument before maturity date. After maturity date, you cannot obtain the negotiable instrument as a holder in due course. So C is incorrect. Question number 41. Which of the following statement is not true? You have to tell which of the following statement is not true. The liability of the drawer is secondary. B, the prior parties to the negotiable instrument are not liable to the holder in due course. C, various parties to negotiable instrument who are liable stand in different footings. D, none of the above. Guys, so the incorrect statement is B. It says that the prior parties to the negotiable instrument are free from their liability. They don't have any liability against the current holder in due course. This is incorrect. The current holder in due course, if he does not get the money from the last endorsee, then he has the right to approach the previous endorsees and go up till the top of the chain, which means he can go up till the drawer of the negotiable instrument. He has that right. So B is incorrect, that prior parties have no right against the holder in due course. Question number 42. An endorsement where the endorser merely writes his signature on the book of the instrument and the instrument becomes payable to the bearer is called. So whenever you endorse a particular check and the endorser writes his signature on the book of the instrument and on the back of the instrument, this word should be on the back of the instrument, and the instrument becomes payable to the bearer is called. What kind of endorsement is it? Number 1, general endorsement. Number 2, full endorsement. Number 3, qualified endorsement. D, partial endorsement. Guys, this is the most generic form of endorsement. This is the general endorsement which is prevalent. Okay. 43. An endorsement in which endorser limits his liability is called. So endorser While endorsing this instrument, he limits his liability. What is that endorsement called? A, conditional endorsement. B, justified endorsement. Both A and B, neither A nor B. The answer is justified endorsement. So guys, wherever the endorser limits his liability to a particular amount or to a particular condition or to a particular limit, then that kind of endorsement is known as justified endorsement. Next, question number 44. An endorsement in which the endorser gives a direction to pay is called A, special endorsement, B, directive endorsement, C, conditional endorsement, D, justified endorsement. The correct answer is special endorsement. Wherever the endorser gives a special direction to pay, then that kind of endorsement is known as special endorsement. 45. In case of a bearer instrument, now again we are talking about the bearer instrument, which means whosoever will bear that instrument, he will be eligible for the benefits of that instrument. Or an instrument endorsed in blank, the holder can claim the amount from the parties even if it is a forged endorsement. A, true. B, false. C, partial true. D, partial false. Guys, so the bearer instruments are very risky. Why are they risky? Because even if the endorsement in a blank bearer instrument is done by forgery, then also guys, the endorsement is a valid endorsement and the person receiving that endorsement can very well claim the amount. So yes, this is very true that in case of a bearer instrument, the holder can claim amount from the parties even if it is forged endorsement. Question number 46. Which one of the following is not true in respect of notice of dishonor? So whenever you are issuing a notice of dishonor, whenever you are raising a notice of dishonor of a particular check, A, notice must be in writing. B, notice can be oral or in writing. C, notice can be formal. Notice must be formal. C, D, notice must be given with a reasonable time period. Guys, the right answer is notice must be in writing. No, notice can be in oral or in writing. Both the modes are acceptable. Notice has to be formal, of course, and it is to be given within a reasonable time. Question number 47. In which of the following cases a notice of dishonor is not required? When the drawer has countermanded payment. B, when the party to whom notice is to be given cannot be searched. C, when the party promises to pay unconditionally. Guys, the correct answer is all of the above. So whenever there is a dishonor of a particular check, you are thinking that okay, I need to send a notice. In what circumstances notice is not required? Situation number 1, when the drawer has countermanded the payment, when the drawer has given back your payment or he has fulfilled his obligation, then it is not required to send the notice. Next, when the party to whom notice is to be given cannot be searched, in this case also guys, notice is not required. When the party promises to pay unconditionally, then also notice is not required. 48. Discharge in relation to a negotiable instrument can be done by. So under what circumstance can discharge happen? When can discharge happen? Discharge in relation to a negotiable instrument can be done by A, discharge of the instrument. B, discharge of parties liability. C, neither A nor B. D, both A and B. Guys, the answer is both A and B. Discharge can happen when you discharge the instrument, which means you make the payment. Second, discharge of parties liabilities, when either of the parties discharges the other party's liability, then also discharge can happen. So answer is both A and B. 49. The liability of the maker of a promissory note. So a person who's making the promissory note, what's his liability? Is primary and absolute? Of course it's primary and absolute. It's secondary and conditional? No. C, both A and B. D, none of the above. Answer is primary and absolute. So a promissory note can be made by a person whose liability is primary and it's absolute without any conditions. Question number 50. The liability of the drawer of a bill. So a person who has drawn the bill, a liability of the drawer of the bill is A, primary and absolute. B, secondary and conditional. C, both A and B. D, none of the above. Guys, in this case, the answer is secondary and conditional. So, bill of exchange, the liability of the drawer is secondary. The liability of the drawee is primary. Payee is a third party. Payee can first of all sue the drawee, then payee can also sue the drawer. So, the liability of the drawer is secondary in case of a bill of exchange. Question number 51. The essential condition of an inland bill is, what are the essential conditions of an inland bill? The instrument is drawn or made in India. B, the instrument must be payable in India or drawee must be in India. C, both A and B. D, neither A nor B. The answer is both A and B. Guys, in case of an inland bill, the instrument must be drawn or made in India, and the person to whom, who is the drawee, should also be in India. Question number 52. The person on whom a bill is drawn is known as. So, what is the person to whom a bill is drawn known as? A, drawer. B, drawee. C, payee. D, all of the above. Guys, the answer is drawer. A person on whom the bill is drawn, he is known as the drawer. The person who makes the bill, who draws the bill, is known as the drawee. Yes, sir. Then question number 53. Which of the following statement is true? A, notice of dishonor of bill is necessary. B, notice of dishonor of check is not necessary. C, both A and B. D, none of the above. Guys, the answer is C, both A and B. So, dishonor of bill is necessary, of course, and dishonor of check is not necessary. These are the two things which are true. Question number 54. The mode of crossing by which the holder of the check cannot get the payment over the counter but through any of the bank only is called A, general crossing. B, special crossing. Account pay crossing is C. D, none of the above. The answer is A, general crossing. Guys, general crossing means that the payee cannot get the money except from the bank. The bank is the person who will honor the check, and the bank will be necessarily be required to contacted for honoring the check. So this is known as general crossing. 55. Mode of crossing by which holder of the check can get the payment only through a specified bank is called A, general crossing. B, special crossing. C, account pay crossing. D, none of the above. Answer is special crossing. When along with writing the two parallel lines, you also write that name of the bank: Standard Chartered Bank, ICICI Bank. This is known as a special crossing. Okay, sir. Question number 56. The mode of crossing in which the proceeds are to be credited only to the account of the payee or the party named or his agent is called A, general crossing. B, special crossing. C, accounts pay crossing. D, all of the above. The answer is accounts pay crossing. Guys, this crossing signifies that only to the account of that person who's named in this particular instrument or check, only money is to be transferable only in that particular account. So yes, these were the MCQs of a very important chapter, guys, Negotiable Instrument Act. And it's really important to do the MCQs well, because MCQs form the basis of your CMA Foundation examination. We'll be meeting in our next session with a more set of MCQs. And yes, if you want the PDFs of these MCQs, it is given in the description box below. Till our next session, all the very best and happy studying.